This is Virginia Roots, a journey through traditional crafts, where we visit artists and craftspeople all over the Commonwealth to learn more about how they're keeping traditions alive through their art. Life in Virginia's colonies was demanding. Basket making, a traditional colonial craft, focused on functionality and durability in order to help colonial Virginians transport goods and store supplies. Baskets were designed with a function in mind. We visited the Jamestown settlement at the American Revolution Museum in Jamestown to learn how settlers made baskets for everyday use.
Every basket you get, whether it is a $5 basket or a $500 basket, it was woven by somebody's hands. There are no machines that can weave a basket. There are poultry baskets, there are fish traps, things of that nature. But for the most part, I make the baskets. I do want them to look nice. I'm not sure if they cared in the 18th century how nice they looked because they were, purely functional. But I don't go to big efforts to make them perfect.
Because there were no stores in the colonies, settlers made what they needed out of what they could find or grow. So before they could make a basket, they had to first cut down a tree.
The idea of making the baskets is to make something that's going to be work-worthy and free. And so the white oak tree is on everybody's property. It's the only tree that can be split very thin and will maintain a flexible nature. So that's why we're going to use white oak here instead of something more frail like a vine or a straw. We want a good stout work basket. And you're going to use only the trunk of the tree. That's the only part that's really straight enough to use. And so it's just a continual splitting in half. So you'll split the log down its length in half using axe, wooden mallet and wedges, halves into quarters, quarters into eighths, and you just keep splitting in half. And eventually, after many, many splits, you'll begin to separate the actual growth rings of the tree, and that's what we use for weaving. White oak basket is truly one of the simplest baskets there is to make. You can start them out with a round shape or a square shape. You would lay the bottom out on your table, weave the bottom to the size you want it to be, and then you just fold the sides up. And you'll continue to weave up the sides until you reach the height of the basket you want. At that point, you need to stop and let the basket dry for a day or two, let any more shrinkage happen. In the meantime, you'll make your handles and rims. And those are going to be thicker pieces of white oak, and they're made exactly the same way every other piece is, just by splitting it down to the thickness you want the piece to be. If it's for the rim of the basket, you'll just set it on the inside of the basket where it will sit for a day or two to dry. A handle, you can just bend it and then tie it into shape with a piece of string. So like I say, let them set for a day or two. Once they have dried, you'll come back on the third day and put all the parts together. And then the rim is going to go on the very top edge of the basket, and that's going to be lashed on with more white oak. Basically, you're going to sew that rim in place, and then your basket's done.
Next, we travel to Floyd, Virginia, where modern craftspeople use many of the same methods used in Jamestown to create more complex and beautiful baskets. Unlike the colonists, basket maker Kathy Delaney doesn't have to cut down a tree before she can get started. But other than that, the process is mostly the same.
The materials I use, I'll order from a company in North Carolina, and they're basically ash for the weavers. The handles are hickory or oak. Yeah, I don't cut the tree down and split it, the white oak, like, the old folks did, but I have to order them from a supplier. Okay, you start with 2 basic hoops, and you put the hoops together to form your frame. And then you'll lash the 2 hoops together with an ear, like what we did today was a God's eye, which is a 4-point lashing, or you can use a 3-point lashing. And then you add these little ribs, and then you just start weaving. And at that point, people are like really relaxed and can just weave and enjoy it. But getting those ribs in place and keeping them in place as you start weaving is a little challenging. Well, I just know they were all created for a use. like the hen basket, the egg baskets were, and they even had the twin bottom eggs were created so that the farmers could put the brown eggs on one side and the white eggs on the other. Like the hen basket's very popular. It was an old Appalachian style basket that was designed to take live hens to the market. So it's one simple, one handle with two openings on either side. The hens were set down in the basket and they would just calm down. And I actually tried it with one of my hens and it worked. The basket we were making downstairs is an Oriole basket, which is the oldest form of Appalachian basket recorded. It was made so that the farmer could put it on, strap it onto their horse. One side would be flat and with a small opening and a larger bottom, and the eggs would not fall out. And the flat side would sit nicely on the horses. When you're first starting a basket, you really have to pay attention. You can't put your mind out of gear. But once you get to the weaving part, it's just very therapeutic. You can just put some soft music on or a book on tape or something and start weaving. And I love to have a group of people with me though.
Ann McCauley, a Virginia-based basket weaver, crafts contemporary baskets using honeysuckle vines from the state's foothills. She began making baskets as a 12-year-old out tending goats. One day she made a little basket with her own pattern. It's the same pattern she uses for all her baskets. Ann has never studied basket making or sought advice, relying instead on honeysuckle vines from locals who live in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. In Ann's own words, "My basketry is a reflection of the honeysuckle vine itself, the life it lives from its very beginning at pollination and onward as it lives forever. Many stages go into my basket-making process, including picking the vines and skinning them, trimming and sorting the vines for thickness and length, making the coils." Ann's baskets are proof you can use traditional methods to create modern designs.